If you feel like journaling isn't working for you, I can guarantee that you are making just one mistake that's not just stopping you from journaling consistently, but it might actually make you feel worse after you journal. So in this video, I'm going to show you what this one mistake is and how to avoid it if you want to start feeling way less stressed and way less overwhelmed by journaling. I'll also show you how stopping this one mistake and doing just one thing differently will enable you to journal even on your bad days and when you don't feel motivated or like you have the energy to journal. So as always, the timestamps are on screen and they're down below in the description, but that's enough hanging about. Let's get right into the video. So to truly understand what this one mistake is that's stopping you from getting all of the amazing benefits of journaling, we need to see the number one thing that beginners do when they start to journal, which is making them feel way more stressed and overwhelmed. Imagine the scene. You have a pretty average day. It's a pretty normal day, nothing too out of the ordinary. But unfortunately, for some reason, you have a little bit of a falling out with your partner or maybe a close friend. It's really weighing on your mind, even though the argument wasn't actually that big. But for whatever reason, it's starting to have a really negative effect on the rest of your life, and it's starting to affect the other healthy habits that you have in place, and you feel like you're on sort of a downward trajectory. So for example, maybe you went for a more unhealthy lunch than usual, or you missed the gym, or you're just sort of resorting to your phone and scrolling through social media. And look, if you've been following me for a while, or you've seen any of my other content, you'll know that I think the best remedy for this and how to stop feeling these negative thoughts is to journal. That's especially true if you don't really feel like you've got anybody to talk to about your issues. But the biggest problem is, and this is especially true if you're a beginner at journaling, is you'll go in with this intention to write to clear down your thoughts. But you'll open your journal up and just stare blankly at the page for the next 15, maybe even 20 minutes, struggling to write down anything at all. This shows the biggest mistake that most people make that's actually stopping you from being able to write anything in the first place. It's because these types of people are something I call solution seekers. The thing is, if you think that journaling will offer you a solution to all of your problems, you're bound to struggle to make it work for you, because that's just not the case. Whilst it's true that maybe 50% of the time, as you're in that flow of writing, you'll start to feel a solution come to your mind, the reality is, the other half of the time, it's just about the practice of getting your thoughts down onto paper. So if you really want journaling to work for you, you've got to stop overanalyzing every single thought and instead just focus on starting writing. But I appreciate this isn't always the easiest thing to do, but there is one thing that we can change to make it a lot easier to start getting our thoughts down on the paper. To understand the simple framework and system that I use to clear my mind of all of those negative thoughts when I journal, and how to write even when I don't actually feel like it, there's a little thing I need you to imagine. This is an example that a few of my subscribers have given to me when we've had one-on-ones, and I think you might find it familiar too. So how many times have you researched like the best gym class for you to start going to? So you spend hours and hours researching the best workout clothes, the best gyms, the best trainers, the best programs, the best diets, and you've got a pretty cool spreadsheet of everything you need to do. But the problem is, for whatever reason, you just don't end up going, even though you've got all of this information laid out in front of you. This perfectly explains the reason why for 99% of people, they struggle to make these healthy habits stick. And that's because they get into a state I call analysis paralysis. And this can stop any habit, but it's particularly true with journaling. But this is one of the easier habits to get started with, because realistically, you don't need anything fancy. You don't need to spend ages organizing things and researching things. All you need is a little bit of paper and a pen. If you're still struggling to get started writing because you're still overthinking everything, there are 3 steps that you can take to get started straight away after watching this video. So the first step that I want you guys to do is, before you write anything, approach your journal with the knowledge that you're not going to solve everything that comes up, but crucially, that you don't need to know what you're going to write. And then the second step is just to start writing. Now, an easy way to do this is to write the date, and usually I write where I'm sort of writing in my journal from. And then Oftentimes, about 90% of the case, your thoughts will unfold as you start putting pen to paper. But for those 10% of times when this doesn't work, there's one final step that you can do. And it's kind of like I mentioned before in the video, but you just need to be acutely aware that oftentimes you're not journaling to find the solution. Journaling is the solution to your problems. And if you feel like that is a little bit confusing, let me put it another way. Essentially, journaling is a way of collecting your thoughts, not really of organizing them. But I'll be honest, sometimes that is especially hard, particularly if you're having one of those days where for whatever reason you just feel a little bit sad, a little bit down, or you feel like you've not really accomplished much. But there's one kind of hack that I've been using and I want to share with you guys too, that's going to allow you to journal even on those bad days where you don't think you're up to it. Because we all have those days where for whatever reason, we wake up late, we burn our breakfast, we miss the bus or we're late for our job, and then things just seem to keep spiraling out of hand. It goes from bad to worse to even worse. You must feel like there's this huge stream of negativity kind of clouding your whole mindset and you can't see a way out of it. And the hack that has solved this for me on my bad days, and I'm sure it will solve this same for you, is a little bit counterintuitive, but if you bear with me, I'm sure it will make sense. Because contrary to what most people will tell you, I want you to really lean into that negativity and lean into all of those harmful negative emotions that you're feeling. I'd say set a timer for no more than about 10 minutes and just write down every little thing that you're feeling. Now, hopefully this is good stuff, but sometimes there are some of those negative emotions. Try not to overanalyze it like we spoke about before, just get it down on the paper. But the crucial thing is you don't want to be writing for more than 10 minutes. And then once the time is up, don't think about anything. Stand up from wherever you're sat and just take a break and walk away from your journal for, well, realistically as long as you can. This could be 5 minutes, could be 30 minutes, it could be a few hours. Usually I'd say overnight is preferred, but it's really up to you. And then you want to take your journal to a quiet place, preferably somewhere outdoors if that's possible for you. And then when you come back to your journal, you're going to reread what you wrote aloud. But there's a slight change. Because every time there's a full stop between sort of these negative thoughts, you're going to say this. It's a little bit of a mantra. You're going to say, and I carried on in spite of that, and so on, and so on, and so on. The reason why this works so well, and it's really, really effective, is that it kind of reframes all of that negativity into something much more positive. And for me at least, I think it really empowers you from within. Because for however bad your day is, you know that you've got to a point where you've kind of moved past those negative emotions. Even though you might still be feeling them, you're still there. You're still fighting through them. But there's still one more mistake that you might be making that explains why journaling isn't working for you. Because if you really want to harness all of its positive benefits and get a much more fulfilled sense out of your life, you need to be ensuring that journaling is a habit for you. So to find a way to make journaling a consistent habit, I want to show you the system that's enabled me to journal basically every day for the past 4 years. So to find out what that system is and how you can easily copy it, you're going to want to watch this video. So I'll see you all there.